Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. We made it to the end of another exciting week. We got a lot going on today. Today's a very unusual day. It's not every day that we can look and see the two of the largest components in the S&P in the stock market, Amazon and Apple, both down at least 3% in the overnight session. We'll talk about that and more on the show. Let's roll it. Coming to you live from downtown Detroit, this is Benzinga's PreMarket Prep with your host, Joel Elconin.
This is a volatile puppy here, isn't it?
And Dennis Dick.
I'm bidding a penny. I will buy the stock for a penny.
With everything you need to start your trading day. All right, good morning. Spencer Israel, Dennis Dick. Joel is also here, but he is refusing to reveal himself. His camera's turned off. His microphone is on, but his camera's turned off. I think he wants to do a grander reveal. We don't know what Joel looks like right now. But he is here, I promise. So we got a lot going on today. Michelle Krebs is our guest. She's from Cox Automotive. She will join us at 8:35 to talk through what happened in the automotive market in the last quarter, GM, Ford, Tesla. We'll talk about all that. We'll get her thoughts. We'll take questions from our chat. As always, hit that like button, please. And thank you. Joel, are you going to ever show us your face today, or are you going to just leave us hanging for the full hour? Hey! All right.
Yeah, man.
Rasta Joel.
What's going on, man?
Rasta Joel.
What are we going to cover on the show today?
Rasta Joel. I like it.
Let's
even
cover
got the Bob Marley shirt going.
The Jamaican mechanics made it.
Oh,
They're here.
That's a throwback reference.
That's an old joke.
That's a throwback reference. All right.
That
nice
is.
one.
We should show Enver, too. Where's Enver?
Enver
doesn't. Okay, Enver doesn't.
Can Enver come on?
No, he did not come on.
Oh.
Enver is doing it the way we should have done it. He's doing his camera virtually.
Show him. Enver, come on and show you for a second. This is behind the scenes. You guys never met Enver. Can we meet Enver?
He won't. He doesn't want to do it.
Come on, Enver.
Come on, Enver.
Anyway,
Enver's behind the scenes, telling us what to do and getting all the. Enver's the one that puts up all this nice, everything that you see on your screen right now.
Yeah.
The agenda, everything.
Those of you who are asking.
I have a special guest coming in, apparently.
Those of you who are asking.
I have special guests here, too. Look.
Nice.
Yes.
There you are. Okay, you got to come over onto the screen. Come on. Special guest.
Nice.
Special guest.
Happy Halloween, everyone. Awesome.
We got a pirate and we got a witch.
And what are you?
Very fun. Happy Halloween.
Yes, Dennis found a cone.
All right.
Exactly right.
Okay, have a good day, kids. They're off to school. It's Halloween at school. Candy day. That's going to be exciting. Very exciting. Bye.
To those of you who are asking who I am, what I am the Benzinga Safety Inspector. This is a real position at Benzinga. Every company in our building is supposed to have a safety inspector whose job it is to be the leader during a fire drill. So usually it's Luke. Today it is me. If we have a fire drill, we'll be ready. That's what I'm dressed up as today. Or I could be Bob the Builder. I don't know.
You look like you're ready for a construction job. You
That
want to
too.
come build my house? I need more help.
Yeah, that too. Hey, real fast, but before we throw it to the charts, Joel, that's your cue to share your screen.
Rasta Joel.
Before we do that, I just want to tell everyone we are doing a special promotion today around Benzinga Pro. If you are a Benzinga Pro subscriber, you will be eligible for this promotion. I'm not going to tell you what it is just yet. That's called a tease, but we're doing a special Halloween promo. We got permission to give away something of real value. It's got nothing to do with Benzinga. Real value.
An NFT?
It's not an NFT. It's better than that. It's
better than an NFT?
Yes, and we're going to give it away only to a Benzinga Pro subscriber. We will talk about it on live trading, or maybe at the end of this show. Maybe Mitch will come on and do it. But want to put that out there. Okay, let's get the charts up on the screen, Joel. How are we doing this morning?
Good. The MJ index is traded down 4 cents at the current low of the move. What should we look at? CG8 up. Wait a second. All these charts are looking the same. Holy mackerel! All these charts look the same. Give me a what? GG.
Everything
RG?
just moves together.
Yeah, relationships. What's the one? GGWRG or something?
GRWG.
GR. I mean, are any of these?
GRWG. Yeah.
Oh
Grow
my God! They all look.
generations.
All right. Well, we won't look at those. S&P futures. That's what you guys want to hear. We're in the red by 20 handles. We went all-time closing high, and then Apple and Amazon. You know what they did all over the market. So we're down 20 handles and just kind of hanging out mid-range. So it's gonna be tough to get back to the all-time closing high, but we'll figure out how to do it. Crude, that's down a dime at 82.71. Just to maybe get to be negative for the week if that's possible. Gold down 11.60 at 17.91 even. Silver in the red by 19, let's call it 20 cents at 23.92. Bitcoin down by 380, 61,400. And Ethereum futures, they're up $52.25. And did I hear they made a new high? Let's see. Let's take a look at
It did
Ethereum.
today.
It did. It did make a new high. So
Yeah,
congrats
Ethereum. Yeah.
to the holders. So
I'm
there
a
you are.
holder of an Ethereum. $10,000 price target.
Okay.
That's my Ethereum price target.
Based on his feeling.
Based on just hope. Pure hope. That's the hope trade.
All right. Should we start? Let's start with Apple here. So if you recall, Dennis was concerned.
Very concerned.
He was nervous into this report. I tried to talk him off the ledge. Well, it's a good thing he didn't listen to me, because
I was nervous.
my thinking was, look, Apple had already warned. They already said a few weeks ago that they're going to cut. They're reducing their iPhone 13 shipment guidance by 10 million because of supply chain shortages. Well, it turns out that those same shortages that are hitting the iPhone are also hitting every other part of their business. So let's give you the numbers from yesterday, and we'll bring the chart up on the screen. EPS was in line. Sales did miss though. That's a very rare thing to say. 83.4 billion was what Apple's sales were last quarter. The street was expecting 84.8 billion, so they missed by about 1.5 billion dollars there. iPhone revenue came in lighter. Wearables revenue came in lighter. iPad did beat. Services revenue actually came in higher as well. But the big takeaway here, it was from the CFO, Luca Maestri, that the situation will not resolve itself by the end of the year. The supply chain impact will be larger than the $6 billion charge that the company just had to take. They said that yesterday as well. They're taking a $6 billion charge because of supply chain woes. The end effect of that will be larger than the $6 billion charge for this current quarter, and supply chain problems affecting all other parts of their business, not just iPhones. So I still maintain my bullish stance that this is going to be a great buy the dip, but obviously Apple is in the storm right now.
And we know why I was nervous. I just couldn't get an iPhone. I go into Rogers and I'm the last guy trying to buy an iPhone, and they're like, we hardly have any iPhones. And and then I put an order in, and they said it should be in 2 weeks. It's 6 weeks later, and they finally call me. We have one iPhone, and we suggest you take it because it's God knows when yours is going to come in. So the demand is there. We know the demand is still there. It's not a demand problem. It's simply a supply problem. They can't get the parts to get the iPhones out there. That's why I was nervous that they were going to miss. That's why I was nervous about the supply chain issues at Apple. That's why I bought puts. And puts were cheap, Joel. Puts were very cheap. Yeah, the 150. So I bought multiple puts.
You did.
So I did. And I didn't even do the spread because I was going to do the spread, but I was like, I just thought they were fairly cheap overall.
How far out did you go?
150 puts I got for $1.06. $1.07. I bought a couple times in there. $1.06, $1.10, right around there. And I went out just on a flyer. So I hedged myself with the 150 puts. but I went out on a flyer, and just in case it got really ugly, I just bought a lottery ticket 143 puts. So those may go off the board at worthless, but those were going for 15 cents. So I was like, you know what? This really gets ugly. 15 cents, kind of like a lottery ticket. So on the put side, I don't think those are going to hit. Obviously, we don't know. It's still trading. It still has a full day. So there's going to be some movement here, but it looks like it's kind of found its home down $5. I mean, overall, I don't want to sell my Apple. I just wanted to hedge myself a little bit into this quarter. So it helps a bit. The puts will help a little bit.
Did you? Oh, so you did this week's?
Yeah.
Wow.
I wanted to hedge through this earnings event.
Wow. All right.
I wasn't hedging long term. I'm still a believer in long term Apple. I wanted to hedge through this earnings print. So, and the cheapest way to do that, it was cheap. 150 puts. This thing was 152 and a half. Was fairly cheap, $1. I thought it was cheap.
Yeah. So. This is what Apple's been doing. It's been running into the reports. This is what it did off its last report. I mean, if you're going to buy this thing into the report and use this that strategy we talked about, sell it the day before the report. I mean, how many people got jammed in this yesterday? I mean, the actual day of the report, it makes the high, the move. Let's just look at, we're just probably going to be reset of a trading range. Got a hard bounce off the after hours low. Let me tell you where that comes in. That's going to be our first area, and it feels like it's really thickened up here
just
at
under
147.
145.
Yeah, 144.42. It's really thickened up though at like 146 and a half, 147. If you look at if you scalp out on a rally and it gets near 149.72, that was yesterday's high. That could really happen. But man, it just looks like it's going to be a trading range, maybe 146 to 148 and a half today. Maybe the fireworks is already over.
I think so. So, and people are asking, I've got those puts. What's the best time to sell them? I mean, I can exercise the 150s, but there's probably be a little bit of time premium left in it, just because we do see some crazy reversals. That time premium gets sucked out probably after the first half hour. So I'll probably dump them within, if I'm going to sell on obviously the 143s. They'll have some value, but I'll probably lose on those because it didn't fall that far. So I'll probably sell them in the first like 20 minutes, half hour. But you get a feel for what Apple does. Like, where's it open? Does it open and start tanking right away? Does it open and start rallying right away? That all indicates there too. And obviously, I rarely buy puts, and I was going to do a put spread, but I just thought, like, when I was only paying just over $1, I was like, okay, I could have sold like the 148s for like 50 cents and only had 50 cents, but then I'm only hedged for $2. So, and obviously when I bought the 143s, I thought there was an outside chance this could really get hammered. And that was I just thought 15 cents. I was like, seemed pretty cheap to just take a shot, but obviously we'll see what happens. I don't know if those will be worth 15 cents even now because it didn't fall that far.
There might be there might be some bids on the open.
There might be.
Yeah,
so it might be the play to get out actually at the opening print on those options. So, but anyway, I was nervous. I want to hedge through the print, so that's what I did.
Nice job, Dennis. Very, very nice.
Well, it's not, it was more of a hedging trade that I was just nervous about the Apple. And you know what is very surprising? So let's go to Amazon. We'll talk Amazon. Then we'll talk the SPY overall because SPY's holding up well.
Yeah. Okay. Amazon, the Apple report hinged on one thing, and that was supply chain problems. The Amazon report did not hinge on really any one factor, which I guess in a sense makes it a little bit more concerning here. So the EPS for Amazon came in very light. They reported earnings per share of $6.12. We'll get the chart of $6.12 versus an $8.92 estimate. Sales of $110.8 versus $111.6 billion. And the guidance was also light. They guided Q4 sales $130 to $140 billion versus a $142 billion estimate. The one good thing here was AWS. Cloud growth is still really strong. Cloud revenue rose 39% year over year. That's still good. That's in line with prior growth rates, and that's all looking good. But everything else was sort of not Great. They talked about increased labor costs. They talk about staffing shortages. They talked about supply chain problems. They talked about a deceleration in their advertising revenue, right? Their ad business, which is
Yeah.
what they call like their other business, right? There was a lot here that was kind of wonky. They're of course spending really, really heavily on everything. They're spending more on labor. They're spending more on content. It wasn't like I wouldn't call it a disaster report, but there was a lot of things to sort of go, huh. That's what I would say. There's a lot of things that make you go, huh. And there's not very many times you can say that about Amazon.
It's been in this range.
Yeah.
And I tell you, my buddy Bruce, he listens to the show sometimes, has been selling. I talked about him like last year. For the last year and a half, he has been selling the weekly calls and puts, both sides, every single week. And he brings in like 75 bucks, 100 bucks, 75 bucks, 100 bucks every week. Every week. And I tell you, this stock has not done anything better than what Bruce has called, because when you're selling calls and puts, you want a sideways chart. And wow, I cannot believe how perfectly that has worked out for Bruce. I don't know if it's going to continue to work out that perfectly. And at certain points in times, he has been assigned. And then what he does is he just flips around and writes the calls. So, I mean, that works so well, those strategies, when you get this sideways market. And that's what Amazon is in. And 3,000 to 3,500 has been the range for almost a year and a half now, which is absolutely incredible. And it continues to work. So good job, Bruce, if you're listening. Just raking in that premium.
This, I mean, obviously it's a little bit higher price stock, so it can have a little bit, but it kind of feels like you missed it. Maybe 32.55. That stands as the after hours low. That comes in here right at this area. You had a pair of lows at the 32.50. Well, that was a little bit lower. 32.38. There was another low right in that area. 32.38.36. I mean, I don't even know if you'll see that. 32.60 was another. You have this shelf here. All right, that dude finally found the number. 32.60 coincides with the October 13th low. Looked like buyers stepped up to 328. They're not, they're not being like super aggressive, but I think buying it on the cheap, getting near the pre-market low is going to be tough. And then coming back looking for a rebound, you got to get all the way up to 33.86 to fill the gap. But trading range, maybe 32.65 to 32, or it's already at 3,300. So I don't know, 32.70, 33.15 trading range
You're a little
today.
tighter on your range. I'll just go
Yeah.
3,000 to 3,500 long
Yeah,
term.
let it decide. I mean, because if you were trying to buy on weakness, you had a really good chance here. Then you're like, okay, I'm going to buy it again at 32.16. You didn't get your chance there. So this feels like there's buyers out there, sellers not being super aggressive. This here where the sellers were aggressive, took it down. And Dennis, you were talking about the arbitrage effects and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
And I saw you tweeted it out like this is down, this is down. I was just gonna say, well, just buy Microsoft.
And you know what? That's what they're doing too.
I
I
know.
mean, Nvidia and Microsoft are probably trading up in the green a little bit here just because they need something to counter. I mean, 10%. So basically 10% of the SPY is Apple and Amazon. So you get 10% of the SPY trading down 4% roughly. You could just say Apple, we'll just ballpark it 3.5%. Amazon's down 4.08%. Call it 4%. Call it 3.8%. SPY's down 0.42%. So that means if you back out Amazon and Apple, SPY is actually flat. So that means every other component in SPY here today has the other 498 as a whole have to be flat. So it's not surprising that maybe they hold up Microsoft, because we already know the Microsoft results and they were pretty good. And obviously, we've got some other stocks that are moving around. They're not the only ones, the big movers in the SPY. There's a lot of stocks moving here today, but you just got to come and consider, you're like, oh, the market's getting killed today, my stock's going to get killed. Not so fast. When you have those two stocks making up the entire loss of SPY, if you back out Apple and Amazon, is actually flat right now. So this is actually a flat day for other stocks, which is why you're actually seeing some other stocks catch a bit. Sometimes you see rotation go into, different names. Some of the cyclical names may be hot today. The financials are holding up very well today. We've got steel stocks up because U.S. Steel had a great quarter. We'll get to that. but you're going to see a lot of rotation here today. So don't just expect your stock to be red because SPY is red. You got to look at the whole ETF and look at the effects. And right now, SPY is actually trading flat if you backed out Amazon and Apple.
Do you want to know the last time that Apple came in line on their earnings and missed on their revenue?
And I called this, by the way.
It was Q2 2018. You want to know the last time Amazon missed on both numbers? Q4 2016. This is a rarity. These companies are fine-tuned machines. This is very rare for them both, for one of them, let alone both of them, to come out below Wall Street's estimates. So,
do you not find it amazing though
No, I do.
that the S&P is only down 20 handles? That
Yes.
they're not rolling this over into other tech stocks. That they're not rolling this other. I mean, you have one of the biggest companies, if not the biggest company in the world, saying we have supply chain issues, and the market's shrugging it off once again. And they are, because like I said, the rest of the 498 companies as a collective whole right now are flat on that news. I mean, and then somebody said on CNBC last night, I just say it again, I don't know who it was, but if Apple can't get parts, who the hell's getting parts?
But
I mean,
the other side of that is like if one company is going to figure it out, who's it going to be? It's Apple. Duh.
yeah, but they couldn't figure it out. So
Well,
that's telling me there's going to be supply chain issues here for the foreseeable future. This problem is not going away anytime soon. And that means your earnings are going to be weak from a lot of companies that can't get parts. Now, if you're in the service industry, not talking restaurants because food costs are, and they're getting wage inflation, but maybe, certain industries are obviously, going to do better. I've been saying I feel like the banks are going to do better in this environment here. Because again, with rising prices across the board, I do believe the Fed's eventually going to have to taper. We know what they did in Canada. They didn't even just taper; they stopped altogether with the asset purchases. So the Fed's not going to do that because that's what they should do, but they won't. But we can see we're getting into this environment here where everybody is looking for a home, and I mean, the market has shrugged off so much, and they're shrugging off these supply chain issues too. Does it eventually come home to roost? Do these issues eventually start to hit stocks? I mean, we saw Apple and Amazon Apple just got hit just directly because of supply chain issues. Does this start to hit other stocks? It's been hitting stocks. Does it continue? I think it does.
But where's the money going to go?
Well, that's it. So they're just going to rotate in other names. Like, I'm like, okay, I loaded up banks. I haven't been loaded up in banks like I am right now since the financial crisis. So I loaded all those Canadian banks. A couple of people in the chat making fun of me for it about a week and a half ago. I'm up 4 or 5% on a lot of those Canadian banks in a week and a half. So I traded my utility stocks. Because if you're going to a rising interest rate environment, these are long-term plays. But if you're going to a rising interest rate environment, which I think rates are going to start ticking up, at least on the long end, then you got to think, okay, well, utility stocks are not going to do as well, and financials are going to do better. So it's just a reallocation. And I mean, the TLT is going to be your best indicator for that. It's been hanging out. I mean, we had a little rally here again in the TLT, but I don't know. I just think we're in this environment that eventually the Fed's going to have to start doing, at least tapering, because price inflation on labor side and obviously on product side is not going away.
You know what? I combine my theme of small caps and smaller companies doing better next year with the bank theme, and purchased some regional banks ETFs this week.
Should we get Tim Melvin on the show?
Yes, we should, because he's our small cap.
No one
guy.
knows small random banks like Tim.
Oh
Melvin.
yeah, bring Tim back.
All right.
Bring Tim back, and let's talk with Tim, because he always gives us some diamonds in the rough because he knows all these small little banks. And if you want to talk about buy and hold, he buys and holds forever, Tim Melvin. So he'll hold positions for like a decade. So he's a holder. So yeah, let's get some bank talk here.
If you want to, probably. I just wonder because it's always interesting when you talk to Tim, like how many stocks are on his radar. Like there were some times, this is, when we had him on a few years ago, he's like, I got nothing for you guys. Everything is outrageously priced. And then there were other times where, he had 3 or 4 ones there. Some of them are trade by appointment only. That's, do you want to reach out to him? Are you trying to do it today, Spencer? Or are you going to try?
No, I'll reach out
next week.
Okay.
Okay.
Michael Snyder, I don't know if anyone here can answer this, is asking for a book recommendation on market rotation or extracting alpha.
Well, we just did a whole webinar on this, so
true.
I can
Yeah.
put the link for there. You can still buy those webinars; they're up on our site. I mean, this is exactly what we were talking about in our Saturday educational event. And I know people want stuff for free. There's a lot of people. There's people that pay for it too. I mean, we put together, a lot. We put a lot of hours into that educational event, so we have to charge for certain things. Certain things. Obviously, we like doing the show for you guys for free, but when we do these extra educational events, we have to continue to charge people like, oh, eventually I'm going to get it for free, but that's not, it's not fair to the people who actually signed up and paid. So I just put the link for there, but this is what we talk about. This is how I make my living, is extracting alpha from rotation. So, I mean, we talked about, and we're going to have another event coming up on order execution.
Did we
That's going to
announce
come up
that
in
yet?
December. I don't think we've announced it yet, but I think, did we have a date set for it?
You said we agreed on one
We haven't,
yesterday.
yeah, I think
It
December 10th.
was the
11th.
11th.
It's a Saturday. Yeah, it's
Yep.
going to be on order flow and order execuation. So we're going to
That's
dive
gonna
right.
be a good one.
Yeah, we're going to dive into the nitty gritty of how are you trading, like how are you putting your orders, what is happening with your orders. We're going to put in like how even like showing how the off exchange market makers make money off your orders, and and how you can better advantage yourself for that. But I mean, all this stuff is tied into prop trading and professional trading. So that question that we just got is a fantastic question. And what you're talking about there are more professional strategies. I mean, and not saying retail. Retail can employ these strategies. That's why we're trying to teach you guys some of these different strategies that the professionals are doing, because you can absolutely take advantage of rotation. I mean, we talk about that all the time. We know the TLT, and I give this relationship, it's the basic one all the time. When the TLT is down, the banks are up. And hey, look this morning, TLT down $1.18. What are the banks doing? They're all trading higher. So despite the SPY being down, which we know is just Apple and Amazon, your banks are going to be a source of strength because the TLT is trading down. Extracting alpha from those relationships is how I make my living.
All right, let's move on here.
Real quick, Spencer,
Yes,
could
yes.
I'm going to do a screen share here real
Okay.
quick,
Okay.
and I just want to show you guys because someone asked about purchasing it. It's still up on the site. It still gives the date, but if you just simply go to register today, boom, hit it registered today, and it will bring you to do it, and it will be automatically emailed to you after you
You'll
fill
get
it
the
out. So
actual,
even
and
though the
you
date
can
is
get
there,
both of
go
them.
in.
Yeah.
Yep.
So this
Yep.
is just to be clear, this
There
is at
you go. You
PreMarket.
can
This
do
is at,
that.
this is at premarketprep.com. The link is on the
Yeah.
screen right now. That's where that is. PreMarket
Yep.
Prep.
Oh, should
Does
we
the
do should we
BZ10
do
still
the
work,
promo?
Joel? Does the
Yes.
BZ10? So if you
Yes.
guys, this was for Benzinga listeners, because we gave you guys a promotional code. If you want $10 off too, you type in BZ10 in that promotional code and you get $10 off.
Awesome.
So the BZ10 still works too. That's for the Benzinga listeners.
All right,
Okay,
and-
so let's move on.
don't
This
worry,
isn't,
don't worry.
we're not just selling all this stuff.
Yeah. We'll talk more about this as it gets closer. Those of you who were here on Monday, you saw the news about Benzinga and Behringer Capital and the deal there. There's actually other Benzinga news today that I'm going to break right now. Benzinga is changing its name to Facebook.
And we're taking the Facebook ticker symbol too.
We are taking yes. We are also going to go public with the ticker symbol FB. It is breaking news just from
Benzinga is now Facebook. So we're called Facebook now.
Benzinga is now Facebook. Facebook is now Meta.
That's awesome. I like this new Facebook.
Yes.
So yeah. So we're now the pre-market prep sponsored by Facebook. I like that.
Yes. So how do we feel about this, guys?
I like that name. That's a good name. It's catchy.
How do we feel about Facebook running away from their from their identity?
I hate it when companies change their names. And who calls Google Alphabet? Who actually, when we talk Google earnings, does anybody actually, you do, Joel? Do you call it Alphabet?
Yeah, Joel and I do.
Do you do too, Spencer?
Well, like in the context of earnings, yeah.
I never call it Alphabet. Dumbest name ever. Alphabet is for my kids. It's not for my portfolio. So I don't know why they changed the name. I don't know why Facebook has to change the name. They don't want to be associated, all their businesses with Facebook. So what that you do other things? Everybody's still going to call you Facebook. Are they changing the ticker symbol too?
Yeah.
What
But,
is it?
but they can't change it to Meta because it's already taken.
No, they were too slow on it. The ETF got them. They should
Yeah,
buy out that
yeah,
ETF and take the
ETF got 'em.
ticker symbol.
So it's MVRS. It's going to be December 1st. MVRS.
Oh, they're getting
MVRS. That's a terrible ticker symbol. Michael Victor Rogers Simon.
That's it.
That's horrible.
Well, Mverse, Metaverse.
That's not even good. Meta's way better. Man, they messed up. They were dropped the ball on that one, Zuckerberg. Because this Meta hasn't even been out there. How long's Meta been out there?
Not long. Like
Meta's been out there like 3 months. You couldn't do this 3 months early and get the Meta symbol? Terrible. I hate this even more now that they couldn't get the Meta. Terrible.
Could you do Spencer? Could you do one more breaking news?
Sure, Joel.
Ron Artest, Meta World Peace, is going to be a spokesman for the company.
Yes, we have signed Ron Artest. We have signed the person formerly known as Meta World. Oh no, they've signed him. That's what you meant. They've signed him.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry, not we.
Who was responsible for the malice in the palace?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, real
Was
fast.
that? Oh, he was too. I forgot about that. What was the fan? He got in the fight with the fan?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, the fan threw a beer at him, and
then he
went
up
up
and started throwing fisticuffs at the fan.
And it, that guy's permanently banned from. Well, I can't say the palace anymore.
Wow.
But that was ugly.
Hey,
That was ugly.
so Facebook, obviously, the news out yesterday. They're going all in on the metaverse, virtual reality, augmented reality, changing their name. But that's not the only play in the metaverse. There's actually a number of stocks that moved off this news yesterday, and I want to show you all. First, shout out to Chris Catchy, who wrote this up in an article, and I'll put the link to that article in the chat right now. But if you're on Benzinga Pro, you can also find it without having to rely on me sending you an article. There's the link. If you go into the Pro newsfeed, and you literally, and just like I was messing around yesterday. Let me get rid of that filter. I was just messing around yesterday, and I thought, let me just do a search for the word like augmented or augmented reality. What do augmented reality, right?
Fun.
Because that's basically what this is, right? Is augmented reality.
Yeah.
And look at all the different, and these are the same tickers that Chris mentioned in his article. Look at all the different tickers here that we have that are moving off of this news, like
Wow.
VUCI, KOPN, MTTR. I don't know what these are. Actually, I know what Matterport is, but CSCW. Never heard of that before, right? Moving off it. And look at this one. Here's Chris's article right there. 5:55 p.m. yesterday. Boom. Here's the full list. All these tickers, Roblox, Weemy hologram, VR AR. Oh, a great ticker for VR AR.
And remember, you can see Catchy on SPAC's Attack. What time SPAC's Attack?
11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. Catchy is my go-to guy. I mean, Mitch is obviously too, where they know the SPACs very well, but anything in that universe, I go to those guys. Those guys do their research. Yes. Due diligence with an exclamation mark on it. That's Chris Catchy.
So there's like a whole, dare I say, universe of metaverse companies that were moving off this news yesterday. I'm not telling you to go out and buy them. I'm telling you to be aware that there's more than just Facebook here. Blue Hat. There's also the Metaverse ETF, which is kind of just a big tech ETF, honestly. But a lot of different Metaverse plays here.
Is Vuzi? Was that one of them on there?
Yes, it was.
That was a Kathy stock, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
Wasn't Vuzi like one of the big Kathy names that just kept loading up? Oh, it's been an ugly one too. She's had Tesla going for her, but man, here's the funny thing with Kathy. You look at the stock, and she's still what? ARKK is off 25% from its highs back from February, and look at where Tesla is, which is her biggest holding, and Tesla is obviously significantly higher. So it means all of her other holdings have done really bad because she's making a lot of money on Tesla, which is her largest holding, and
she's lining up. She's selling into the rally, I think.
She's still got a lot. It's still her biggest position, though.
All right.
I'm just saying, she's made a lot of money on Tesla, and her fund is still underperforming. So a lot of those other picks, like Vuzi, not very good picks so far. Fair.
Let's take a look at Facebook here, and for the longest time, I had the 320 to 340 range, right? And I was saying, you got to bust above 340 to get higher prices, and popped up there the day before, and then it had 330 now. So I'm moving this down. I'm saying you don't get giddy about Facebook on the upside until you can clear 330 and hold it. Conversely, on the downside here, I know you don't have everything perfect at 310, but that's the new area. So that's what I'm looking at. The breakthrough 320 has been a little bit choppy, but right now there's your trading range 310 to 330, and when companies start doing things like this, it doesn't exude a lot of confidence. I think, if you gotta, change midstream like that. But it's been a great stock for a long time. And let's see if it can hold this 310 area. If not, we're looking for 300.
Last comment before I bring on our guest today, and this is the theory that I posited to Mitch yesterday at the close was last year we saw two stocks run up into news events that on paper meant nothing for the company, right? Apple and Tesla both split their stock. Doesn't change anything about the business, but both stocks ran up into those events. My theory is, or my idea is, does Facebook run up into this name change December 11th, right? Is that what I said? That's what I said. December.
I don't know.
That's not.
It's just a name change.
Oh,
The
no,
splits,
no.
people.
Said December 1st. December 1st. It's a name change. It means nothing on paper, but that's the idea.
I hate the name change. I don't think people all view it positively as a problem. So that's why I don't know if it affects it. I think it's almost a negative, if anything.
What's this?
And
what's
what about
the
social
symbol?
media right now? I mean, that Twitter chart, well, look what's happening with the social media stocks. Twitter is really getting hit hard. I mean, new lows again yesterday. Pinterest, we know since they're not getting bought by PayPal, everybody's getting wasted on that. That is absolutely an ugly chart now. Obviously, if they come back and a rumor materializes, that could change in a heartbeat, but not a pretty chart at all. Snapchat has trying to bottom, but it was the one that started this whole thing. So, and then you got Facebook, obviously off their earnings, was trying to go higher, and then they sold it off. And, yes, we rallied a little bit on this Metaverse thing yesterday, but there's an overall issue here with social media right now. I'm not sure. I'm not even 100%, like I said, with the DWAC and Trump doing his thing, that there isn't a few nervous investors saying, if Trump gets this thing off the ground, there's a lot of supporters. A lot of people could actually go on that platform.
I sold some Twitter, but I will talk about that after
Nice.
Michelle comes.
Oh, you sold some Twitter.
Nice. All right. Hey, let's bring on Michelle Krebs, senior analyst at Cox Automotive, and let's talk about. I guess there wouldn't be a chip shortage in the metaverse, right, Michelle?
I don't know about the metaverse.
Fair.
I only know the car business.
Fair enough. Okay, Michelle, I guess we're through the car portion of the earnings season here. So recap for us what happened and what each of the largest automakers said.
Well, we've got the Japanese coming in the next 2 weeks, but we have got Tesla started out with, record-breaking deliveries, record-breaking profits. And then this past week, we've had GM, Ford, and Stellantis. It was very clear that the chip shortage hurt their earnings and deliveries. GM in particular, they kind of got a free ride early on, and then they got hit hard in the third quarter. So their profits were down about 40%. Ford less so, down about 23%. Now, the interesting thing that's happening is, yes, their volumes are down, the profits are down, but their average transaction prices are soaring because of the inventory shortages. So what is out there is the really expensive stuff, and it's selling at pretty high prices, and they've slashed their incentive spending by a lot. So that saves some money there.
Okay, so that's a story.
Breath.
Yeah, that's a story on Tesla. What about, representing Motor City here, GM Ford?
Well, that's what yeah.
No, okay, I'm sorry. You're right. You just covered all those.
Yeah.
So where does that leave us going forward, I guess?
Well, we're still in a, chip shortage situation, very tight inventories. The inventory of unsold new vehicles in the U.S. has been for several weeks under 1 million vehicles. We've never seen those kinds of levels before. I think you'd have to go back to the 1980s. Even after the cash for clunkers that sopped up a lot of inventory, it was at 1.4 million. So that was the most recent low. So, and even if we get production plants back up and running fully, we're still going to have a big empty pipeline to fill. So it's going to be a while. We think the worst is behind us. That seems to be what all the auto companies say. It looks that way in our numbers, but it's, we've got to climb out of this.
Wait, Do you have any insight as to why Tesla was able to seemingly circumvent this chip shortage a little bit better?
I don't know exactly.
Aha! All right.
They sell a lot less cars though too, Michelle.
Well,
Like
true.
so that's a number. I mean, when you're comparing, 2 million cars that, annualized on Ford and GM versus 200,000. Okay, well, you need a lot less chips when you're selling 10% of the volume.
Right. And the automakers kept building trucks and SUVs where they make a lot of money, and then kind of put the car production on ice. So
Okay, we got a question from the chat about Volkswagen. I know they cut their outlook. Tell us more about that.
Well, Volkswagen, wants to be an all electric company, but they've got a high cost structure. So, and they've had a lot of issues with chips. Their big Wolfsburg, Germany plant has never run this lean in terms of output. So they're looking to cut cost out of their structure, and they're talking about job losses eventually as they transition to EVs.
Okay, and then I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about that news from what was it, Monday now, the Hertz Hertz Tesla deal, and also the Hertz Carvana Uber deal.
Right.
What do you make of that?
Oh, I think it's really interesting. So Hertz is buying 100,000 Teslas. It could end up being more than that, possibly through next year. Half of those, or even it could be even more, as they're saying this morning, are going to be offered to Uber drivers. I wouldn't be surprised if they added in Lyft drivers at some point, because Hertz has been providing Uber and Lyft drivers with vehicles. And it's a great deal for Tesla because they sell a bunch of vehicles. They claim at no discount. So that's billions in revenue, but also tremendous advertising potential. And, Tesla doesn't spend any money on advertising. So they're going to ride the coattails of Hertz, who has just signed on 7-time Super Bowl champion Tom Brady to be in its ads, really splashy ad campaign. So, Tesla gets the advantage of that without having to pay for it.
I'll be honest, Michelle, I didn't realize that Mark Fields was the CEO of Hertz.
That just happened recently.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I
You're
thought
not that behind. Maybe a month ago, something like that.
maybe a month ago. All right. Well, I missed it a month ago, apparently. So you spoke to Mark,
Mhm.
right? What did he tell you about this deal and like what Hertz is doing?
Well, I mean, he knit together all these pieces, and they're doing the Tesla deal because they believe that electrification is the future. It also, they're coming out of bankruptcy. It really is a brand differentiator for them, and they got in early with Tesla because at some point all the rental car companies will start offering electric vehicles, but they nab the first big player first, and that will give them an advantage, and they may add other makes as production increases. And then the other thing that they're doing is I asked, what happens to these vehicles after they go out of the rental fleet? Because typically they either come to our auctions or they go to, they have sales on their own. And the way Hertz is going to do it is, yes, they'll continue to have sales of their own, but they'll also supply Carvana. So they avoid the wholesale network, and Carvana will have the supply of Teslas that they can sell as used.
Looking ahead here, you mentioned that we're due for a couple more earnings reports from the Asian automakers. What are we? Anything crazy to expect here, or are we expecting more of the same?
Well, I think that what we'll see is it wasn't until September, October that really Toyota and Honda got hit. Nissan got hit earlier. They closed some plants earlier. So I think it'll be the next quarter that we really see the impact on Toyota and Honda. But, Toyota's been amazing. Despite they have the lowest inventories in the business, but they still gain sales and still gain market share. And a lot of it has to do with a very efficient distribution system that everyone wants to know what the secret sauce is there.
Yeah.
We're on the line with Michelle Cox, an analyst for Cox Automotive.
Michelle Krebs from Cox.
I'm not part of the Cox family.
Sorry, I thought you got.
Oh, you're gonna get us fired for that. Apologize.
Again. I'm sorry, and I was just looking it up.
Dude, it's not
What
Joel's
about all
fault.
these? What about? I mean, we're talking about Ford, and we're talking about GM, and we're talking about Tesla. We're talking about Stellaris and Toyota, but there are so many other of these smaller companies out there.
Yes. Mhm.
I mean, is there going to be, are some of these smaller companies going to be acquired? Are there going to be eventual winners, or are they just all going to go bye-bye and lose out to the big boys?
I think there will be winners and I think there will be losers. And we'll have to wait it out to see. And of course, everybody's going after Tesla. Because you're in Detroit, you've seen the shirts that say everybody versus Detroit. This is everybody versus Tesla. And so there was a lot of speculation this week that, eventually Tesla would lose market share. And sure, it will. It's not going to dominate. It's not going to have 70% of the market forever. But it's not, and everybody's focusing on the big guys, but these little guys are going to take bites out of it. Lucid delivers its first vehicle to a customer on this weekend. Rivian's going public, and there's a lot of action on the EV startup side, and not all will win.
Spencer, you're on mute.
Hey, I'm on mute. I'm sorry. It was the Halloween brain. Do you have thoughts on Lucid? Because they just rocketed up yesterday as they head into deliveries. Do you have any thoughts there?
We'll see. They're producing cars. That's
Okay.
That's a big plus. A lot of them haven't started producing. So
Yeah.
Michelle, do you look at Fisker at all? I mean, some of these smaller companies, obviously, I've got a long position in Fisker, full disclosure, but I mean, you look at what's happened with Tesla. They do have the deal with Magna, so we are going to start to see Fiskers on the road probably at the end of 2022. What are your thoughts on Fisker?
Yeah, it's a possible contender. It's so hard to know because you don't know all the financials. The other thing that they're doing is they're tied with Foxconn to assemble cars, which may happen at the Lordstown plant in Ohio. So a lot going on there. I can't predict who's going to win or lose, but
Why not?
I'm not a financial analyst.
We know that. We know that. One last thing from me. The infrastructure. I mean, we talk about, got plenty of gas stations out there, and they're building more. I mean, is the infrastructure prepared for this many EV cars coming on? I mean, yeah, you can charge it up in your garage, but for traveling, do you follow any companies in that space? And do you think that the infrastructure is keeping up with the eventual demand?
It's not keeping up right now, but the infrastructure proposal that's pending in Congress has some money for an EV infrastructure. It's about half of what the Biden administration wanted. But that's key, because the number one reason people don't buy EVs is they're worried about the range and the charging infrastructure. If the charging infrastructure were there, the range, which is improving vastly, wouldn't be as big an issue. But yeah, we got to have the infrastructure for EV adoption.
And one more thing on the and the controversy of the self-driving. I mean, it seems that whenever it comes up with Tesla, the wording that they have, the disclosures, the protection, and everything. When do you see that becoming more commonplace?
I don't know about more commonplace, but they've got a battle in Washington on that, so they're being watched much more closely as to how they're positioning it and how it's performing by the safety regulators in Washington. So that's certainly something to watch.
Michelle Krebs is executive analyst at Cox Automotive, joining us live from the Motor City, just like us. Michelle, always a pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right. Hey, Joel, do you want to tell us about Twitter now?
Yeah, I'm a little. I'm going to talk with Sean at 9 a.m. on PreMarket Prep Plus about this, and I've been wanting to sell this for a while.
Did you sell it all, or you just sold a piece?
I kept a little piece, Dennis, so I could do what you do and just whine
it's
about
always a
it.
mistake keeping a little piece.
Yeah.
For some reason.
And I wanted to do it before the report. and I did it. I did it, early after the report, and I just think this whole social media space is just, it's ran its course. I think there's I mean, originally, Dennis, when you mentioned, about the Trump thing, whether or not that comes into fruition, I really don't know. I talked with another buddy of mine that has been involved in his own Facebook for a long time. And he was, it's just like these stocks have run its course. And I just felt I'd ring the register and, had it from under 20 and, whatever. I didn't get the greatest price of getting out, but got a little piece and maybe get a little bit back on the rebound. But
We
it just,
are going down hard here right
yeah, what's
now.
going on?
Oil is getting hit, gold is getting hit. You're seeing movement. Obviously, there's still some stocks holding up. We know there's going to be some stocks. Green, the financials are holding up very well. But I mean, gold has just turned around and is starting to get really slammed here. We were about flat when we started the show. We're now down to $20 if you're looking at the futures, or $2 on GLD. So, but it's
Yeah.
not only that, oil's really rolling over here too. So we got the
Well,
USO going down. Yeah.
Yeah, we had some oil earnings.
Yeah, and those are holding up, but the
Yeah.
oil itself, the commodity itself is not holding up nearly as well.
Yeah, I don't know. This is interesting.
You got a lot of stocks that are starting to go red here. So not just technology companies with Apple, but we're seeing a few other stocks too. And IWM has went red too. It was holding up fairly well. Now IWM's starting to go pretty heavy red here too. So you're starting to see a little bit more nervousness here. I don't know why. This is what I would have expected last night off the Apple and Amazon. And, and still, obviously, we're not down far from where we just were. But we've been saying, S&Ps are holding up very well, and they still are. Obviously, Amazon has leaked a little bit more at 4.5%, and Apple's leaked a little bit more as well. But both stocks still holding, or the SPY is still holding up fairly well, considering the majority of the loss in SPY is Apple and Amazon. So it's interesting. I don't know if you're going to see as much rotation. I don't know if you're going to see everything sell off, but we're starting to turn in. We were seeing clear rotation an hour ago, and now we're starting to see clear selling in a lot of sectors. Like I said, steel's holding up well. Caterpillar got an upgrade, I believe. So it's holding
let's
up.
talk about steel, because we had
US Steel.
US Steel report last night. The earnings were good, the sales were good, they both beat estimates. But on top of that, this is like, kitchen sink is what they threw at us. They did a $300 million buyback, and they're raising their dividend from a penny to 5 cents a share. So going in the right direction there. So beat, buyback, dividend raise.
You see how much money they obviously don't think it's going to last. We know there's nothing more cyclical than some of these commodities. But they made $5.36.
Yep.
US Steel made $5.36, and a spinner tweeted it out, and I'm not sure. I retweeted it. I'm not sure if it's accurate, but they said US Steel made almost as much money as Amazon on the bottom line. Not
Really?
Sales, obviously, but on the bottom line.
I didn't even notice that.
I don't know if that's right or not. Can we go and actually verify that? Go in the background and verify
US
that.
Steel made $5.96 billion in overall revenue.
Well, not revenue. You got to look at the bottom line earnings.
You look at the bottom.
Revenue won't compare. Amazon's revenue is off the charts.
Well, that's
what
what I
we're
was
just saying.
gonna say.
Bottom line.
Okay, so bottom line. Let me look in the background.
He's gonna go look in the background there. But Spinner, great stat. I retweeted it. I know Spinner does his homework, so he's probably right. But I mean, just going to show you how much money US Steel and some of these commodity companies are making right now. Now, this is a cyclical business. And what does that mean? It means don't expect them to continue to make $5 a share every quarter, because obviously if that was the case, the thing's trading with a P of like 2. We know these are, this is, not going to last. It's in a cyclical business. They'll get to times where they're actually not making money. Their earnings go like this, much like, Micron's a cyclical business. Certain ones that their earnings just fluctuate like that. But right now, holy crap, they're making so much money. I'm blown away by those numbers. And no, I'm not long. Somebody asked me if I was long US Steel. I did check. I had US Steel in there for a bet. I had sold it. I had bought Cleveland Cliffs instead. I'm long Nucor, and my Cleveland Cliffs I sold. The CLF I sold for the simple reason I bought it at 20 about a month ago, around maybe it wasn't even 19 and a half, 20. And it got back up to that major resistance, the August highs, and it's looking like it's struggling there. So I did sell my Cleveland Cliffs. I'm holding my Nucor. I've had Nucor for 10 years. I don't intend to sell that at all. Cleveland Cliffs come back down to the 20 area, I'll rebuy it. I'm playing that range.
All right. U.S. Steel, we're trading at the highs of the pre-market session. Have just reached 25.82. Now, we haven't been up in this area in a while. That does coincide very nicely with a 25.79 high. So you want to see this thing open up here, make a charge, and you want to see it test this double top here at 26 in the 26 handle, 26.32 and 26.43. I mean, two highs in the same area after it was at $23 yesterday. So I would this one, you just want to keep laying out those offers, probably with bigger size. I think it will turn. I mean, and have a pretty good sell off on this. A lot of people are sitting on pretty good profits. I don't think you'll come anywhere near the top of the range from yesterday, but just this $26 area, I don't even know if there's anything in the book at 26, but you want to see strong follow through to that pre-market high.
Yeah, U.S. Steel made like almost as much. It wasn't like
That's incredible
It was
stat,
like
though.
it was almost as much.
So what were the numbers? Do you have them?
Well, yeah, if you look at net income, it was like $3 billion for Amazon and 2 and change for U.S. Steel, and
That's incredible
on
to
a
think
per
about.
share basis, it was $5 and change for U.S. Steel and like $6 and change for
Just giving you perspective of how much money U.S. Steel and some of these commodity companies are making right now. And I mean, obviously, we don't look at the bottom line. They look at what is sustainable in the long run. And we know Amazon has always invested back in themselves and probably can make even more money. But they obviously invest back in their own company a lot too. But I mean, wow, our U.S. Steel and some of these commodity companies are making so much money right now. Some of the lumber stocks, like I talked about the Canfor that I own in Canada. I mean, these things are just printing money right now. I don't know. But then obviously Canfor, and then it's probably from the quarter before they were doing better. They had supply issues too, I believe. There is some other issues hitting some other companies as well. But incredible amount of money some of these commodity companies are making.
All right, we haven't gotten to any tickers from the chat yet. I suppose
Ticker time, 2 minutes, go.
Suppose we can do a couple. I'm trying to scroll through here and see what we got. Someone dropping some EVs in there. I saw QS get mentioned. Someone just asked about another one that is kind of a high flyer. Let me go here.
The EV trade on the smaller names, and maybe it's Lucid, that's really picked up the steam on some of these smaller names. We know Lucid had a huge breakout there yesterday, and you saw Fisker getting a big pop. You saw a lot of these other EV names really getting a pop. Even Ride showed some life. Ride never shows life, but it showed a little bit of life there yesterday. I don't know if that continues or not. It's right now, it's the thing. I mean, anything to do with EV, the lithium plays that we've owned for a while, LTHM, LAC. I still got both of those. They've been unbelievable. They're both making highs again. I don't know if that's, I don't know if it's sustainable, I'll just say. But right now, the EV trade is hot again.
All right, we can look at Starbucks. Someone's asking about that because they did report last night and they gave guidance on the conference call. So the EPS beat by a penny. The sales, it was a slight miss, more or less in line. They gave guidance, like I said, on the conference call. They gave fiscal year sales guidance of a range, the high $32 billion range, which is around where the street was expecting. I got spooked out of this one after the EAT report, so I sold my Starbucks, and I'm glad I did.
You know what? I'm gonna let you guys finish up here. I gotta go take this wig off, and I see we missed a lot of symbols here. I gotta look presentable for pre-market prep plus. Spencer, I'll catch up with you guys later on. Everyone, join me at pre-market prep.
Do you have thoughts on Starbucks, Dennis?
I was nervous the same thing. I said on the show that day with EAT, I'd be nervous on a stock like Starbucks too, for the simple reason I don't want to own anything that has significant wage inflation and labor shortages right now. And I got to think, we know McDonald's figured it out, but that's hitting, probably from both sides. The restaurant industry, Starbucks isn't its coffee shop, but kind of in there. I mean, that industry right now is getting hit from both sides because their food costs are going up and their labor costs are going up. And the demand it's there, but they're getting hit from both sides. It's not where I want to be. It is not, those are not businesses that do well in inflationary periods.
All right. I think if there was any show this week that earned your hard-earned it was this one.
The Spooky edition?
The Spooky edition. Come on. Show some spirit, guys. Hit that like button. We're at just below 300 likes right now. Reminder, I think we're going to announce the Benzinga Pro giveaway on our next show on Live Trading with Benzinga. We're giving away a prize that has nothing to do with Benzinga. It is not a Benzinga product. It is not a Benzinga service. It is something of real value, something that we got permission to give this away. We had to ask for it. We couldn't just decide ourselves because it's above the threshold. So we're going to give away this mystery prize to a random Benzinga Pro
I like mystery
user
prizes.
today. We're going to announce what the prize is and how to enter the giveaway on Live Trading with Benzinga, which is going to start right after we wrap up here. So that being said, please remember that all the information from our show is meant to be used as informational purposes and not for investing or trading advice. Thanks to our guest today, Michelle Krebs. Thanks to all of you in the chat, even the people who don't have any Halloween spirit. That's okay. And hit that like button for us, please, and thank you. Live Trading coming up right now. Dennis, have a great rest of your day. Have fun trick-or-treating. I want to hear stories on Monday about how eventful
the kids are pumped.
How eventful it was for you, because I don't think you did it last year, right? So
actually we did do
right.
trick-or-treating last year.
Well, I want
the COVID trick-or-treating where they're all masked up.
I want a good story on Monday. Okay.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, there's your
have a good weekend, everyone.
Have a good weekend, Dennis. Have a good weekend, all of you. Gonna wrap it up here. See you over on Live Trading with Benzinga.